Welcome back, guys. Another episode of the Jock Talk podcast. We got Matt, we got Brock. How are we doing today, Brock?
Oh, doing all right. Doing all right.
All things considering.
Exactly.
Um, so Packers Buccaneers didn't
Yeesh.
go didn't go quite as planned.
But we weren't wrong if we did not do X, Y, and Z what we said this was going to happen. I mean, we didn't get pressure up the middle. Play calling went out the window after the first quarter. A-Rod was off. I mean, what went wrong? I mean, it all happened at once, and then it was just avalanche of disaster.
Yeah. So we talked about it last week. Like you said, got to get sacks, got to get pressure. Absolutely none. Got to force at least one turnover. Well, you don't force pressure, chances are you're not going to force turnover. Stop Mike Evans and Chris Godwin? Check.
For the most part, yeah.
What was this 2014 Gronk came to, destroy the Packers linebackers and safeties?
Gronk was obviously listening into the show last week and heard us call him slow and old and just looks like an old man out there. We should put Preston Smith on him, and he turned it on. 5 for I think 94, touchdown. I mean, first time he's seen the end zone in like 3 years, so it was disgusting. It was just. We looked good that first quarter. We were like, yes, here it goes again. And then A-Rod does a little something he doesn't do much is throw an interception.
Yep.
And also a pick six. I
believe it's
of
only
everything.
the third of his career.
And almost threw 2 in 3 passes. Like they got down to like the 3 or whatever it was, and I mean, you can't ask your defense to stop 3 yards after that. I mean, that's a short field, and that touchdown is not on them either. I mean, that's 14 points not on the defense, but again, the defense did not play well either after that first quarter. No pressure. I mean, the secondary, Amos Savage was bad. I mean, Jair was the bright spot. I mean, he had a couple really nice tackles, but I mean, we had to see Josh Jackson out there. He looked great for a little bit, and then
he's like the MVS of the defense.
Exactly.
Looks really good, and then 3 plays later, like, what are you doing?
Like, I think Josh Jackson in a zone coverage is really good. Josh Jackson in a man coverage is a liability. He gives up pass interference after pass interference, holding, whatever you name it. On third down, they kept targeting him. Is pretty obvious, and we did nothing to stop it. I mean, it's 3rd and 2. Let's play 7 yards off the ball. I mean,
makes sense.
Well, what are you doing? 7 yards off the ball. It's 3rd and 2. Like what I have written down, A-Rod sucked. Play calling sucked. Effort sucked. That's all you need to know about the game. Let's go on. Let's go to next week. We have to have a bounce back week next week. We play the Texans, 1-5 team. I mean, it's a trap game. I feel like, but it could potentially be that flip flop game. Like this game, we win 38-10. We go back to what we have been doing. I mean, maybe defense forces a couple turnovers. Like they get a fire lit under their ass or something. I don't know. I'm hoping for the best. I mean, Deshaun Watson, elite quarterback. They have dynamic playmaking wide receivers. Not the best wide receivers we will ever face, but they are possession wide receivers. They run the routes
Burner
well.
and Will Fuller.
Yeah.
Deep threats.
Randy's coming back, and he likes the big moment, and especially against his former team. I'm sure he'll try to play 110%.
Absolutely.
Brandon Cook's the intermediate guy. I mean, they're not big, tall guys, but hopefully we can get Kevin King back. That will definitely shore up a little bit of the defense. But we need all around. I mean, we don't even have to break this game down very far. We all around need to be better. What's one of your keys to next week's game that really needs to stand out.
Yeah, so I have a few things. So you gotta stop David Johnson. Packers have been gashed by running backs basically all season. Some of them in late garbage time, some of them through the air, some of them on the ground, right up the middle, some of them with Kenny Clark, without Kenny Clark, whatever. So stop David Johnson. Stopping the wide receivers, like you said, they do a little bit of everything. They got deep threats in Brandon Cooks. He's getting a little bit older now, but deep threat. Will Fuller's had a really good season. He stayed healthy. And then Randy in the slot. And then his last two things, excuse me. Offensive line needs to step up, and Aaron Rodgers needs to get back on. He was off, not a ton. Like, he didn't overthrow them by 10, 15 yards, but he was off enough to where it made a difference. And
especially that one right
throw to
over the middle.
MVS.
Oh, I wasn't even. I mean, MVS, or I was going to say the one, the big dog right in the middle.
Yep.
It's Troy Aikman said, "Oh, he's going to hit his head on the goalpost."
He's a burner, apparently.
He's Mercedes Lewis. He's going to get 20 more yards and get caught by a corner. Let's be real.
Yep.
But that is probably a 40-yard, 50-yard play that turns the tide. Turns the tide a little bit back into our favor. So he's got to hit. He's got to hit those passes. We got to, maybe give the ball to Aaron Jones a little more. I mean, I don't know what it is with LaFleur. He doesn't like to work Aaron Jones every game. I mean, I get it. You want to save him, but we do have 3 running backs. A.J. Dillon showed that he can.
It looked good.
Granted, it's garbage time, but Bucks weren't playing their scrubs. They were still playing Devin White and everybody in the middle. I mean, he looked good in limited carries. I mean, Jamal looked good in limited carries. I mean, Aaron Jones had limited carries. So, I mean, yes, you missing Tyler Ervin. You can't say he's a big piece to the offense, though. Hand the ball off to your workhorse and Aaron Jones, and then it opens up the rest of the game. We've seen it time and time again where run leads to pass. That's what we need to get back to. One thing we've talked about, like coming off the bye the last 2 years now. Last year we got blown out by 29. This year it's 28. What is it after the bye? Does LaFleur literally give them a whole week off and say, go hiking in the mountains and just sleep?
There ain't really any mountains in Green Bay, bud.
Not in Green Bay, but they go home. Who knows?
They can't go home.
Oh, because of COVID?
Yep, so they are not allowed to go home. But like you said, I think
they go to Lake Michigan.
Yep, a week of preparation that they sorely need. They're 4-1. Obviously, we're overreacting a little bit. Everyone on Twitter are overreacting a ton. We've seen a lot of stuff about this Jordan Love. Why the pick makes sense now? Like, come on. Like, yes, game. Aaron Rodgers had a terrible game. He didn't look good, but he didn't get the best help either between the play calling. The Bucks defenses,
they're fast. They're probably the linebacker core is probably the fastest in the league. And then when you're trying to ask your center to pull and go hit Devin White, like Devin White's already in the backfield by the time you snap the ball. Like they had some of the easiest tackle for losses of their career because of the play calling. I mean, you run those little toss plays that barely work against an 80-year-old grandpa. Like now you got a guy like Devin White running a 4.40 through there. Come on.
Yep.
Like there was I think they were too concerned on Brady and took their defense not seriously enough, and it obviously showed. But enough of that. We are on to the Texans. I mean, Deshaun Watson's animal in itself, so that's another guy we have to watch out for.
The last key to the game that I have, at least you mentioned him. Defense has got to get pressure without over pursuing. We see it all the time. Kirk Cousins ran for 30, 40 yards against us because they over pursued. You can't let Deshaun Watson do that. So that's the last thing for me.
We've seen a couple.
Yep.
Already this year is
Drew Brees scrambled a little bit.
Face masks on running backs. I mean, Za'Darius did it the one time. He had great play but you're just extending your arms. Sit your ass down and make a tackle. Don't arm tackle. Why are we arm tackling in the NFL? I mean, yes, you're big and strong and all that good stuff, but
So is everybody else.
put your shoulder into somebody and then tackle through the ball. It's kind of getting sickening because you know me, I'm a defensive guy. I want to see good sound tackles, make plays on the ball, like force turnovers, go attack the ball, not being all sit back and all passive and just letting them dink and dunk 4, 5, 6 yards at a time. Play up, and then just be ready for the over the top stuff, but be aggressive. That's the one thing this defense has not been this year, and it is aggressive.
Yeah, so you mentioned a little bit before. I'm going to look back to the past one more time before we get to our Packers predictions score for last week. I'm going to talk about one more thing at least. We need to see some nasty out of the Packers.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers should not be the person talking smack and going up to Ndamukong Suh. His linemen need to take their skirts off, not be dumb about it, but Aaron Rodgers should not be the one who has to go up to Ndamukong Suh and trash talk and all that by himself. Aaron Rodgers is getting plastered the whole time, and the linemen help him up and walk off the field while Aaron is talking trash at Donkey Kong Suh. So, again, the past is in the past. We're going to step up. You know, if they do 1, 2, 3, all of these things that we mentioned, it's gonna be a good season. The Packers are 4-1. There's a certain faction of the Packers Twitter specifically that is all doom and gloom. It's the end of the world. But
we're still 4-1.
That's right.
We still got a favorable schedule coming up. We got a couple tough weeks. The next coming, we got Texans, then we got the 49ers, then we got the Vikings, and then we're looking at after that we're looking at a favorable schedule. So when I was looking at this schedule, I was looking at this stretch. You go 3-1, you go 2-2. It's not the end of the world.
Yep.
Because how we did it, and we ended up winning, being 4-0, going into the bye, which is great. So you start 4-0, you put yourself ahead of the sticks in the first quarter of the season, and then now you give yourself a little bit of leeway to maybe like drop this stinker against the Bucs, and then maybe you lose to the 49ers. You can't lose like this. It's not a must-win game, but it has to be a bounce-back game. It has to be something that gives the confidence back to this team.
The Packers will bounce back this week.
Yes.
It's going to be a high-scoring game. A lot of people are calling for Mike Pettine's head. I know you and I disagree about this a little bit. I think he should have been fired at the end of last season. So yes, I think he should be fired, but not necessarily just because old man Brady and Bruce Arians destroyed them. But I just don't like him, period. So yes, he should be fired. Yeah. Packers win 41-31.
Oh, wow.
Aaron Rodgers goes for 350. Devontae goes for 150 plus. Aaron Jones 2 touchdowns.
Oh wow, you went way up there. I'm going Green Bay 35, Texans 23 in a decent game. I mean, another more points than you like to give up, but yep. I think it's another bounce back game. Like you said, I don't think Mason Crosby sees the field. I think they finish off drives, even if it means going forward on 4th and 2, 4th and 3. I think they will do it. I think they are going to come out aggressive. I think we will still have the couple like hiccups because I mean it's the Packers. We've watched this for a while now. That this might be the first week we don't score points the first drive. I could see that happening. And then everybody's like, oh, here. And we go down 7-0 after both teams have first drive. But then I think things start clicking. We start getting that motion. We start actually running the ball. And I think we take over from there. But I think Aaron Rodgers bounces back. Not an incredible game. 250, 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, 2 touchdowns. Like you said, I mean, I think it's a pretty even game. I could see Jamal getting one of those, like, just in relief touchdowns on the goal line. Maybe A.J. Dillon? We've been calling
We'll
for it the
see.
last, like, 2
Yep.
or 3 weeks.
Yes, sir.
I think he proved himself, his worth in running situations last week. And I hope, I mean, we've been asking for, like I said, for the last few weeks to get A.J. Dillon the ball a few times. Now, we're not asking for 20 carries from him. Give him 5. Give him 5. Give him goal line. Give him inside the 5, inside the 10, and let's see what he can
Only
do.
makes sense. Only makes sense.
I mean, he got flipped last week, but which was impressive. I didn't think I would see a man of that size get flipped like that.
that was at the end of a decent run, though, too.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you got to go low to tackle that guy. That's for damn sure.
So moving on, we here at Jock Talk like to have a revisionist history. We'll tell you when we made the right calls. We'll tell you when we made the bad calls. We're not trying to hide anything. Last week, Brock, our picks not so hot.
Average. They weren't they didn't explode.
Our weekly upset and locks, that is.
Oh, picks, yeah. I mean, not so hot.
We both went 1 and 2 last week. Yep. But on the flip side of that, our fantasy studs, 4 out of 6 smashed. The other 2, so-so. They still got you double-digit fantasy points. It's not like they
for their worth. For their worth, you got exactly what you needed out of them.
Yeah. So let's say Kenny Galladay smashed. Ridley smashed. James Robinson smashed. He ended up getting that touchdown. Justin Jefferson
exploded.
Smashed again. JT, he had a good game. He had more. He had a decent receiving game actually, which saved him. And then David Montgomery, again, he had a couple of catches for about 40, 50 yards that kind of saved.
He had a touchdown called back to really affect his score. But overall, I think if you had a handful of these guys in your lineup, I mean, for their worth, yes. Calvin Ridley's probably one of the most expensive guys. James Robinson is up there, not too high. Justin Jefferson, lower. JT, a little bit lower. Kenny G, in the middle of the pack, and Dave Montgomery, middle of the pack. So
when you're paying down for a David Montgomery, you can pay up to get King Henry.
True. And I mean, is he your MVP right now? Because I mean, it's hard not to call him.
No, Russell Wilson's MVP right now.
You still think so? I mean,
it's quarterback.
It is, but I think he's knocking on that door to scare a lot of people, especially
if I were to say right now, if the season were to end, Derrick Henry doesn't even get the most MVP votes on his own team. Ryan Tannehill has been an absolute beast.
He has. And it's crazy because Tannehill's getting outshadowed because of Henry. But like you said, he's having an incredible year. Vrabel might be. I mean, everybody wants to give the crown to Kyle Shanahan and Cliff Kingsbury and Matt LaFleur as the young stud coaches, but Vrabel is one of the smartest coaches. He learned so much from Belichick. He knows how to play that clock. I don't know if you've seen that little play where he purposely gave a 12-man.
Had to pretend to be angry after the fact.
Yeah, it's like, he put him in.
And good thing he has that mask on because he was holding back a smile. Yep, for sure.
Because you see, I couldn't read his lips entirely, but when he pulled it down, it's like I meant to, or something along those lines. Yeah. But I mean, Vrabel, I think, should be coach of the year as of right now. I mean, he's doing an incredible job. I mean, the Tannehill. I mean, that Tennessee team is a scary team right now. I mean, because the COVID. But
we'll get to that here in a little bit. You just.
All right, let's get into our locks of the week.
Yes, sir. Lock number 1. The New Orleans Saints with Michael Thomas this week. Hopefully he doesn't punch a teammate like the day before the game and get suspended by his team again. Saints beat the Panthers. Panthers have an awful run defense. They bottled up David Montgomery a little bit last week, but, Alvin Kamara is not David Montgomery. Saints win by at least a touchdown.
Yeah, that is the truth. Alvin Kamara is a beast of his own. My first lock of the week is the obvious choice. Bills over the Jets. Jets look like a Pee Wee football team.
We called it last week. We called my lock was the Dolphins beating the Jets, and I said if there was going to be one team to get shut out this week, it will be the New York Jets.
Yeah, and you did. And I mean now the Dolphins are starting
Tua time. Yep.
Does that comes as a shock, but maybe we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
What's your second lock of the week?
Just talked about it. I had the Bills and the Jets as my second lock, but we like to switch things up a little bit here on the Jock Talk show. The Tennessee Titans win the battle of the unbeatens and take down the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lock it in.
I like that pick, but it is gonna. I think it's going to be a very low scoring game. Those defenses are real. Offenses, the offenses are good though as well. So I think it's going to come down to exotic play calling. Look at Chase Claypool, who's having a monster last couple weeks.
Yep.
The different ways they get him the ball, running the ball, just slants, deep routes, anything he touches the ball, it seems like he's getting in the end zone as of late. But my second lock of the week, I'm going Chargers over the Jags. I think Herbert is playing well, even despite their record. I think they will pull it out over the Jags pretty handily.
Yeah, I do like me some Justin Herbert. But upset city time. The Atlanta Falcons beat the Detroit Lions, and I'm calling it right now. It's not even close, and Matt Patricia loses his job after the game.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be a 2-game win streak for Atlanta Falcons. Maybe give them a little hope. But maybe not.
Too bad they don't play in the NFC East, huh?
That is the truth. Cowboys are still leading that division, and they lost last night. But
who they lose to?
They lose to?
Yeah, who they lose to? They lost to the Cardinals.
Yes. Good segue.
Interesting.
Because my upset pick of the week is the Cardinals over the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay.
The reason of picking that, Seattle really hasn't been able to stop anybody on defense. They've been able to outscore people. But if the Cardinals can put up anything like they did yesterday, I get it. Andy Dalton is not Russell Wilson, but they still have that beast of a wide receiver named DeAndre Hopkins for them. And
yeah, I've heard of him.
He's been all right. And then you got some guy, Larry Fitzgerald. I think he's been all right for his career. The run game has been solid. Kenny Drake, Chase Edmonds. They're both playing really well. Kyler had a bounce back game after a not so good game the week before. So I think the Cardinals ultimately take that game. I think it's a little bit higher scoring. Russell Wilson, I could easily see him having a game-winning drive of his own, though. But I think it's a close game. But I think ultimately the Cardinals pull it out.
There we go. So 1-2 last week. It's our first losing season. First losing week of the year. Apparently, that's hard to say.
Okay, Junior.
That will not happen again this week. What we have not lost at this week, Brock, every single week we are smashing it in fantasy. Just going to continue again this week. We have our fantasy 6-pack for you guys. Number 1 for me, T. Higgins, Cincinnati. All three of the Bengals wideouts looked decent last week. Between Tyler Boyd, AJ Green finally had himself a good game, and T. Higgins. I just think there's something about that rookie-to-rookie chemistry. Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, 75 yards and a touchdown, I think, this week.
Yeah. I'm going to go, my first pick is DeAndre Swift. You say the Falcons are going to blow them out. I think it's going to be a seesaw game. Falcons defense is pretty terrible. They can't stop really anybody. So I do like Stafford. I think Stafford and Galladay, I think they got a Like you said, they played well last week. Marvin Jones Jr. is underrated, but
Marvin Jones Jr. sucks.
yeah.
It's killing me in fantasy.
But I think DeAndre Swift, I think he proved himself last week to Matt Patricia, hopefully coaching for his job. He had a monster game. I think he continues against this porous Falcons defense.
Yeah, we'll see if the coaching staff is smart enough to,
Keep
him on the
going.
field. Yep. My number 2 is DJ Moore, Carolina Panthers wide receiver. I think like I said, the Saints are going to be up big at certain points in this game. I think the Panthers are going to have to throw the ball. So you could have went Robbie Anderson. He's had a good week. DJ Moore is starting to kick it into high gear. He was a second, maybe third round pick in most fantasy drafts this year. So DJ Moore, lock it in.
Yeah, I'm going to the opposite side of the team. Opposite team. I'm going Michael Thomas, first game. Hopefully he can actually play. He's if he's a PPR, obviously he's going to probably first game they're probably going to toss it to him like 47 times and he's going to catch 37 of them. Yep. So I could see a PPR league he might not have the most yards and maybe one touchdown, but in a PPR league I think he's a lock for sure.
Yeah. My number 3, it was tough. Had to narrow it down to one of these two guys, the running backs for the Los Angeles Chargers. Whoever gets the hot hand is going to be the running back that gets the majority of the workload for them between Joshua Kelly and Justin Jackson. I'm going out on a limb, putting it on paper, on video. Joshua Kelly, Los Angeles Chargers running back, fantasy stud this week.
I mean, that's at a bargain too on daily fantasy. So
Yep.
There's a couple of guys like DeAndre Swift who's going to be a bargain. Michael Thomas might be a little lower than normal. Because he hasn't played. But another guy, for me, it's probably going to be one of your more expensive guys, but it's against a team that can't do anything. Stephon Diggs versus the Jets, I think the obvious pick. Josh Allen's been tearing it apart. I mean, you hit that daily fantasy of Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen against the Jets. I mean, Josh Allen runs the ball anyways, so I could see that being a big 1-2 punch in daily fantasy.
Yeah, so you guys got it. Like I said, we haven't lost a fantasy studs, fantasy 6-pack this year. They've all been studs or missed 1 out of the 6. Missed 1 out of 6. That's a win all day.
Yeah, I'll take 5 out of 6 any day of the week.
Take
5 out of 6.
5.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
5.
Top 5.
Top 5. Let's go. Top 5
what
this week.
What we got?
Last week we did TV characters. We just finished a nice little MMA show with your boy Jake Sussick. You'll hear the top 5 there as well. You can check that out on YouTube, Facebook, Anchor, wherever you listen to your podcasts.
We did TV shows last week, so what do we do this week, Matt?
TV characters, excuse me. So, top 5 TV characters, real life based, cartoon based, does not matter. I'll kick it off, Brock. My number 5 is yours truly, Nick Miller from New Girl. He's just hilarious. He
is a great character.
Plays that he can be a dummy sometimes, and he just gets into one of those moods where he's the smartest man in the room. Nick Miller, my number 5.
Even though everybody says I'm like him, he's not in my top 5. He's in my honorable mention, though. But my number 5 is Jerome, or the Joker from Gotham. I think I don't know his name, who actually plays him, but he plays the Joker character so well, and it really, if you like DC Comics and you like Joker's story, I highly recommend Gotham, and seeing him grow into the Joker character is very interesting and very twisted, and it's a very good show in general.
Yeah, my number 4 is from a show that's near and dear to me, my most favorite show of all time, Michael Scott.
4.
The Office is number 4 for me.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
I have to discount him a little bit just because he doesn't make it from the beginning of the show to the end of the show. But
Oh, you ruined it for me.
just iconic lines. That's what she said. There's conspiracy theories out there that Michael Scott pretends to be stupid. There's points throughout the show that you can really see that he knows what's going on more than he kind of lets on. But Michael Scott, it's top 5, obviously one of the best TV show characters of all time.
I've seen lists that have him like number 2 of the 2000s.
Yep.
My number 4, I'm going cartoon style. Iconic throughout high school, throughout college, throughout now. It's Peter Griffin.
I thought you were gonna go with Stewie.
Now,
Right.
see, Stewie, I liked him his first few seasons. Then they tried to make him not so mean, and then he has the liners. Don't get me wrong, I do like him, but I think Peter's just the stupid idiot, and it says the greatest lines, and just
Can you give us a Peter laugh, Brock?
I cannot do a Peter laugh.
All right. Next time we'll get you to do it.
I can't do it, so
You have to practice, I guess, bud.
no.
My number 3, it is it's actually the only character on my list that is not from a comedy. My number 3 is Michael Scofield, main character in Prison Break. Just the thought process that goes behind his character, more so than the acting itself, is just great job by the writers, creators of Prison Break. All the thought and the details that goes into the tattoos. If you guys have never seen the show, check it out. Michael Scofield, my number 3.
I've never seen the show. Probably won't check it out. But my number 3, Winston Schmidt, not Bishop. Winston Schmidt, new girl.
Right.
I mean, the douchebag jar. I mean, you name it. Like anything you want in a character, it's Winston. He's smart, but he's so stupid, but he's so funny. It's like gets the girl, and then gets the chubby girl. He whatever he wants to do, he gets, and he's just a great character.
My favorite, I'm gonna call him
Great
Schmidt
character.
so I don't confuse myself. Is every time like he gets angry and he just gets that high pitched kind of like yell and scream. Those are it's a classic.
Schmidt happens.
Yeah.
All day. All day. I'm gonna do this all day.
My number 2, we talked about it a little bit pre-show. You thought I was gonna go with maybe like a Ron Swanson, sticking with the same show, Parks and Recreation, another great show. Andy Dwyer, who, for those of you who maybe don't know the name, that's Chris Pratt's character in Parks and Rec. As the character
Some
grows,
say Parks and Rec is better than Office, but
I disagree, but it's still a really good show. You can see as Chris Pratt's transformation, away from the show happens, where, he stops being a big fat guy and turns into this, big buff world's sexiest man, whatever. So does his character, Johnny Karate, Burt Macklin. There's sub characters within the character. So Andy Dwyer, my number 2.
my number 2, Jax Teller from Sons of Anarchy. If you have not watched that show, it is about a biking crew and it's his family. It just goes through a whirlwind of troubles, running with law, obviously, going over to Ireland. I mean, his kids are stolen, deaths, and it's just so much stuff going on, and the development of Jax Teller as a character throughout the whole season, and seeing how his family deals with him and everything of his past and then in his future. It's just a great show. If you have not checked out Sons of Anarchy, go check it out.
Never seen it. Probably won't check it out.
Good. They don't want you to watch it anyways.
My number 1, going back to The Office, guys. I had Michael Scott at number 4. Dwight Schrute is my number 1. Again, the one-liners, the crazy beat Bears stories, the way that he develops at the end.
Fact.
Not a lot of people. That's right. Not a lot of people like that he turns into this nice softy at the end. I think it's a great ending to the show. Sorry to ruin it again for you, Brock. But Dwight Schrute.
Might as well not even watch it.
Dwight Schrute is my favorite TV character of all time.
Mine is not Dwight Schrute. I've never seen I've seen a few episodes, but my number one is Barney Stinson. Obviously, I mean, it is the number. If you watch earlier episode, How I Met Your Mother is my favorite TV show of all time. Barney Stinson. I mean, same thing with that you have with Dwight. I have with Barney. The one-liners, the comedy, and then goes for the same. He turns into real softy at the end. I mean, gets to the ladies, does everything wrong, does everything right, just gets you to love him, but you also hate him at the same time because he's such a dick sometimes. He's such a dick sometimes, but then he's the greatest. But How I Met Your Mother, Barney Stinson, make that combo. I mean, Neil Patrick Harris, great actor for that, and obviously number one. Both shows, they got it.
Honorable mention for me. You had a cartoon, animated. Can't even really call it's cartoon. Animated character on your list. My animated characters in my honorable mention spot. Bender Rodriguez from Futurama. Just badass cigar smoking, alcohol drinking robot. Named our first, my wife and I named our first guinea pig Bender after Bender from Futurama. So Bender, honorable mention.
My honorable mention is Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. His so bland demeanor and just so dry, but so funny because he just doesn't know anything about what's going on, but makes jokes, and it's so dry, and it's just so funny because he's a great character in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
All right, that wraps it up for this week. Again, if you guys want to hear a specific top 5, follow along, share us yours. What are your top 5? Who are your top 5, top 2 favorite TV show character of all time? Let us know on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everything in between. Just let us know. We love to hear from you guys. We like to interact. Don't always agree, and that's all right. But anything else for you, Brock?
No, but let's go Pack. We got to get this win next week.
That's right. All I know. That's right. And how we always send it off every single time. It's always go. Pack, go. Deuces. You cut that part out. I sound like an idiot.